What is AI? Is one of the most commonly asked questions on the internet right now. I'm going to break this down really quick. In fact, I'm going to go a little bit deeper. You see, our company has built a 7-figure business over the last 12 months using AI, not alone, but on the backs of our employees, our contractors, and ourselves. It is single-handedly responsible for building all of the tech within my company, managing my schedule, as well as my assistant, and ensuring that our business runs smoothly. In fact, it tracks my invoices, my open invoices, my receipts, all of my agentic workflows, meaning like every morning when I wake up, I can see what my competitors are doing, and it gives me content ideas as well. And those are just a few things to name it off the bat. But my goal here with this video is to show you how Claude works from a plain English perspective, not from a developer perspective. So I want to show you this, and this specifically is for SMEs. So if you're a subject matter expert, this is for you, okay? So if you own a business and you're not using Claude yet, you're probably behind, and that's why you're watching this video. You feel it, you see it, you watch YouTube, and you go, man, Tommy, he's my competitor, and he's currently doing this. How the hell is he doing this? And that question is very common, is that I'm seeing other people do what I know that I'm better than them at, but they're doing it more efficiently, they're doing it quicker, and I can't seem to catch up. They're typically using some sort of AI tool or AI enhancement in their company. So here, there's going to be no fluff. I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm going to use as little jargon as humanly possible, and I want to make this a very straight shooting version of a video, because if you go on YouTube, you find a lot of fluff, and it's easy to get lost in the sauce. In fact, I'm not an AI developer, but I have built a multi-million-dollar company on the backs of AI, and right now, it's growing too fast. In fact, I can't even keep up a lot of the time. A lot of my friends make videos on Claude, and they go really, really in detail, but they're not building businesses with it. There is a difference, right? People that are developer level or selling to people that want to become developers or want to become AI salespeople, then that's a different level, different story than what we're doing here. Here is to show you how to make AI accessible and actionable to not only yourself, but to your team. This is for you if you run a small or medium-sized business and you want to work faster, right? Not just hiring more people, but you've heard of Claude, don't know kind of what version to use or how to use it. You're sick of ChatGPT and telling you yes to everything. And you want real automation, right? You want things that actually help you automate facets of your business and become more predictable and profitable without writing one single line of code. Okay. There are 9 parts to this. I'm going to try and keep this really simple. I'm going to show you what Anthropic is. I'm going to show you the 3 doors, so Claude Chat, Claude Co-work, and Claude Code, that we use on a daily basis. And then I want to kind of dive deep into Claude skills and projects. These are the top things that we use every day in our company that allow us to build the 7 and hopefully 8, 9-figure exit in this business. Okay, first, what is Claude? Before we pick the right door, I want to get the basics down. It takes about 90 seconds to do. Claude is an AI assistant, okay? So in plain English, think a smart teammate who can read, write, research, analyze, and now do anything you'd really delegate to a junior employee. Things like agentic workflows, reading my emails, right? Or setting recurring tasks to notify me that I have meetings on my calendar today. Simple things like that can be done through Claude Code, Claude Co-work, and the recurring tasks. So we'll get into that in a bit, okay? Claude is known for its best-in-class writing, reasoning, and agentic work. So what Claude does so differently is that when you prompt Claude, you ask it a question, you'll notice that it actually asks you questions back. Whereas opposed to if you give ChatGPT a question or an example, it likely will tell you that you're right, and it won't really push back. Custom developed to push back and answer questions, or ask you questions rather, to get the best outcome, as opposed to just saying, yes, you're correct, here's how to do this, right? And you've seen those videos online, people talking to their ChatGPT bot, and it's giving them random answers. It says, what month has the letter X in it, and it says like December, right? But because it's trying to use logic and reason, but it's not. It's just giving you what you want to hear, okay? So Anthropic right now, like I mentioned, is a $60 billion AI company, right? That's the valuation as per 2026, allegedly. Safety. One of the biggest things people come to Claude for is the safety and security. It's actually built by an ex-OpenAI leadership, so it's focused on like trustworthy AI. And I believe they left, I don't know the terms of their disengagement, but I believe that in the contracts that they have right now, like so Sam Altman obviously being OpenAI and ChatGPT, government regulations and this kind of stuff is a huge, big question mark, right? Or a red flag, if you will, to a lot of people. Claude, I don't believe, because it runs locally when you use Claude Code, meaning Claude Co-work and Claude Code actually use your desktop. So like they will create folders for you that live on your computer, not on the cloud. So it's different, right? Which makes the security a little bit better, if you will. And it's a really poor overview of what that is, but just if you're kind of more of a simple understanding of what Claude is that you can put documents into Claude and it doesn't push that to the internet, right? It's not open source, so you don't have to worry about like the security or jeopardizing documentation. Claude has 3 different doors, and you'll hear me say that a lot because it's the best way to put it. Claude, Chat, Co-work, and Code, they share one brain, so your brain, but they're built to do completely different jobs, okay? So I'm going to explain this simply. Claude Chat is like the classic chat window. You type, Claude replies, writing, research, analysis, Q&A, that kind of stuff, right? Think with me is what we like to say. Claude Co-work is for the doing. It's kind of like a desktop agent that operates on your real files and your apps. So it's hands down the best one that you could pick if you want to do work with Claude as opposed to like coding an app or whatever it may be, okay? So it kind of gives you back like a polished deliverable that you can use, like hey, give me 50 AI agents that I can talk about in a YouTube video. It'll give you like a PDF or whatever skill you've installed in like a pretty version of it, whether it's an HTML file or like a PDF where it just color coded, all that kind of stuff. It gives it back to you. And you can actually download the PDF on your computer and make a video on it kind of like this. Funny enough, cat out of the bag, this entire presentation was developed on Claude. I actually used Claude Code to do that because I used a variety of skills to make it look as beautiful as it looks now. Hopefully you think it's as beautiful as I think it looks. And Claude Code is an AI coding agent for your terminal, okay? So basically what this is it builds real software, like end-to-end softwares, builds websites, keyplayershq.com, my website, all built using AI, Claude Code, and it allows you to do things that otherwise would have taken you years or months to do, and tons of money because it's really expensive to do, okay? So again, if you want a more technical video, I can show you my friends' videos. You can go watch guys like Nate Herc that make amazing content about Claude from a really, really high perspective. This is going to be more so for entrepreneurs that are looking to just get the basics down pat, right? People that have questions, kind of like simplifying the process and workflows, wanting to be able to leverage this with a team of virtual staff, for example. They just want to have an idea of what their team's actually doing and leveraging, not getting into the weeds of the AI. Okay, so simple way to think about this is like Chat thinks, Co-work does, and then Claude builds, or Code builds. So Chat thinks, Co-work does, Code builds. If you remember nothing else from this entire guide, I want you to remember this one, right? It'll basically tell you which door to open 95% of the time. You'll realize that when you're using Claude, you often have questions, right? Like, I know that I want to achieve X, right? I want to do X. What do I select in order to achieve this goal? Do I do Chat? Do I do Co-work? Do I do Code? What's the best software? This will often give you the right answer, okay? Here's the full comparison. Chat, Co-work, and Code, go ahead and give that a read. The main job for Chat is conversational. The main job for Co-work is multi-step tasks in local folders. And then on Code, it's a full code base, right? Writing softwares. It's really helpful to understand how code works, obviously, but you don't need to using Claude Code. And you can see, obviously, differences there between the 3 of them, okay? Pricing is actually really simple. There's a free version. You can't access Code and Co-work on the free plan, I don't believe. You might be able to, I don't think so. Actually, it says, yeah, right here, Pro. Okay, so $17 a month. I believe this is US dollars. So if you're not from the US, you'll have to do the conversion. I know in Canada here, I think I paid $20, $22 for this, but I am on the max plan, so it's about $100 a month. Okay, max plan is really good if you're using it every day. It's 20x the usage. I need it, and I still run out of it, but I use it pretty religiously. Most people are pretty good in the Pro plan. Even some YouTubers that just make Claude content just use the Pro plan because you can use tools. They're called skills, where you can install now to kind of like help the usage problem, because usage has been a problem. So you can utilize things or / commands inside of Claude Code to make it use less memory, so it's not continuously eating up credits. Because one of the things you'll realize in Claude is that the more info you have, so I've got like millions of lines of code, millions of things in my folders, in my desktops, all that kind of stuff. What happens is it reads everything before it responds to you sometimes, depending on the chat that you're talking to it in. So like if I'm in the same conversation and I asked it to create me a YouTube script but now I'm asking it to create me something else, 20 minutes later, it'll read the whole convo again, and it'll continue to eat credits, because the more that it's on, the more that it's being used and thinking, that eats a lot of credits. So just be wary, make sure you have the right skills in there. We'll give you that inside of the community as well. You can kind of get what we use for Claude Memory. There's a great Git, I believe, on GitHub, if you're familiar, which is where you download pieces of code on repositories on GitHub, where you can actually use like Claude-mem, Claude Dream, stuff like this, where it actually combines or compacts the conversation, so you don't have to utilize all that memory. Okay. Door one is Claude Chat. I'm going to pump through this stuff, guys, because you don't need to know all of this. I've already talked about a lot of it. Door one is Chat. You've probably already used it. It's deceptively simple, right? And it's still useful like 70% of your daily tasks, but not all of it. I'm going to be honest with you guys, I don't use Claude Chat, not even one bit, truthfully. I should more, because it wastes less credits, but I'm usually working inside of my projects or my conversations inside of Claude Co-work, because as you'll see when we get to the project section, is that you have an actual project for your business, right? Or for your YouTube, or for your LinkedIn, whatever it may be. You have a project, and in that project you remembers everything, right? The problem is if you use chat, just the chat function, you'll have to continuously reprompt chat to make it understand who you are, what you're talking about, right? Because a lot of the conversations that you have, you don't want to keep telling, every time you meet somebody, right? You don't want to repeat who you are, what you do, give all the info, because it's draining, and really it's not worth your time to do. So that's what Claude Chat is. It's a blank page. It's more of a thinking partner. Just go to Claude.ai and you can sign up for a free account and use Claude Chat. Okay. This was made from Claude. It says that I use this every day. I don't, but if I did these things, I absolutely would use Claude Chat every day. Writing in my voice, summarizing things, converting things. I lied. I'll use it when I'm asking simple things, like I'll pretty much you refer to this over Google, right? That's a better way to put it. 3 steps, really simple. Go to Claude.ai, download it, type in what you need, and then iterate it until it's right. Iterating means just like talk to it like a human being. Prompt engineering now is like the biggest thing in the world. Make sure you're prompting it, giving it as much detail as possible. One of the things that people don't do is understand that AI is amazing, it's your best friend, but it's only as good as the prompter. So if you're prompting it and you're just saying, how far away is the sun? It'll be like, okay, here's the number. But if you want something like, hey, there are 2 rocket ships, one has this amount of gas, one has this amount of rocket fuel. This is a terrible analogy, by the way. One is this weight, one is this height. Again, awful analogy. You got to get more information to be able to understand, like, to give Claude more of a brain, more of a substance to be able to give you a better answer, right? So it's not always as simple as just asking it a question. It's definitely more of giving it context, right? Contextual value is always the most important. Door 2 is co-work. This is a little bit more interesting. I'll still try and dive through this. This is one most people haven't tried yet, and it is the biggest kind of unlock for SMEs in the entire Claude ecosystem, right? So it's not a chatbot as much as people think that it is. And if you watch a video, you'll say, oh, it's just a chatbot, it just does things for me. It's not. It actually can access your entire computer. So a lot of the things that I've done or I've built that you have seen or may have not are done through Claude Co-work. Okay, so this is hugely important in terms of like my entire company and what I do on a daily basis. Like even this presentation could have been built through Claude Co-work. Claude Co-work is a desktop agent that opens your files. So you go to Finder. I'm a Mac user, so you go to Finder or whatever you use in your computer, and you check out folders. So you might have like a taxes folder, you might have like a company folder, you might have a headshots folder, whatever it may be. It allows you to continuously add documents, read documents, understand documents inside of a specific folder. Therefore, it never forgets if you use this in projects, right? And you can do things like give it a goal. And it has a multi-step like workflow that I can do. So I can say, please go into this folder and do X, right? It can do that. Give you an example like Stripe. If you wanted to add Stripe links, you can actually have it use Desktop Commander in Claude Co-work, and it can actually access things like Stripe. It can access different tools and different browser functions, right? So like different tabs, etc., and do things for you. So it's quite interesting. And the big difference from chat is that it drafts texts for you. It's just conversational. You do the rest. Whereas in Claude Co-work, it pulls your template, call notes, pricing, and delivers a finished PDF as opposed to just being more conversational with you, if that makes more sense. give you an example. You clean up 40 receipts. Claude Chat will say, okay, great, here's how to do it. Whereas Claude Co-work will actually open the folder, it'll read each one, and it'll build a whole spreadsheet for you. So truthfully, that's what we use for a lot of our accounting stuff. We have obviously an accountant full-time for us and a bookkeeper. So what I've done is I've built out a variety of automations and Claude Co-work agents that are on a recurring basis that do things to help out my accountant and my bookkeeper. It's because I buy a lot of AI software, that kind of stuff too. And they're constantly iterating in my books and in my QuickBooks, which, by the way, Claude Co-work is now connected through a server, an MCP server, or I call it a connector, from QuickBooks to my Claude Co-work. Now they speak to each other. They're one. I can actually ask my Co-work questions. Hey, how much revenue did I do last month? Hey, how much did I spend on salary last month? Stuff like that, okay? Here's what we can hand off today. One of the biggest things that I wanted to talk about is what can you action after this video? Make weekly client reports, expense reconciliation, case study decks, by the way, file organization has saved my life. I am a messy man, as most of us are. Unfortunately, my files suck. They really are. They're brutal. I didn't have anything categorized because everything was cloud-based for me before. Funny enough, until I started using Claude, I never really used anything that was local ever. I always used cloud-based software, so I didn't really need to focus on anything in my desktop, right? So that's really, really important. So you can say sort my download folder, right? Move invoices to, and then give it a / command, right? Move invoices to 2026 invoices, and it will do that for you. It'll actually take action and do the things on your behalf. Proposals and templates is obviously huge, and then Monday morning briefs, which is what I use, right? Hey, a lot of stuff happened last week. Remind me, right? I got a big team, 18 staff in-house, and 85 people that work for our clients. So like, what happened? What did I miss? And it'll go through like, this client was offboarded, or we've had 15 onboardings, or stuff like this. So I can know now where clients are at, and I can kind of keep tabs on my company without actually me running that division, because I have people that do that, right? So I can kind of see overview as the CEO. I can see kind of what they're doing. It helps out quite a bit, okay? This is the most important thing that I will ever talk about. Please, if you're still watching this, please listen, okay? A project is a dedicated workspace. Remember I mentioned that if you keep talking to Claude or ChatGPT, it just won't remember you? Projects avoid that, okay? Think of a project like a folder for a specific topic. One client, one function, one workflow. It has its own memory, its own instructions, and its own files. Also has its own history, chat history, right? Custom instructions, right? So you can instruct a dedicated workspace, your folder, you can instruct it to do things specifically, right? Make sure that folder acts in a certain way. Because remember, this is a Claude Co-work folder. So when I say it can act in a certain way, you have to remember that what's happening is this. These agents or these things that you're asking Claude Co-work to do, it thinks automatically that it's going to be doing something, not just giving advice. That's how you can instruct it, okay? Give it a knowledge base, upload documents for it. It'll remember it forever, but you have to upload things and talk to it and make it remember and create this folder of knowledge that it just continues to compound. Makes it way easier for you to work and build your business. I believe in the free plan. It's 5 projects. It's unlimited. If you're watching this video, I really highly recommend that you're on the paid plan. At least it's $20 a month. It's not expensive. If you're here, I would assume that you can afford that. And it truthfully is the best thing that you'll invest into this year, I promise. Here's what goes inside, right? Instructions, right? How Claude should act, files that Claude should reference, and then every conversation from now on. Okay, I use the projects in my Claude Co-work for this specifically because it's like my business brain obviously is Obsidian. If you haven't yet watched that after this video, please head over and watch the Claude X Obsidian video because it's super, super important. Obsidian is my second brain. Just so you know, Obsidian is a software that I use that every single thing that I've ever done on Claude, when I say, submit to Obsidian, what it does is it goes to my second brain, and you'll see it's kind of like a crazy, integrated, looks like a brain actually, and it remembers every conversation I've ever had, so I can go back to that. Getting back on track, okay? Real world examples, so key players marketing, client, Acme Corp, weekly reports, hiring pipeline. Okay, so this is where I can remember what this is, get really pretty specific with it, have action items, stuff like that, so I don't forget, and it will repetitively do these things for me, so I'm not on the hook for it myself. Okay, because I got a lot of things going on, I forget. Okay, we're getting there. I'm gonna pump through these. Point Claude at a real folder on your computer. That's what I just said. Open it on your desktop app, open it with a project, connect a folder, and then just ask it. Okay, so literally go to your Claude Co-work, connect the folder to it, right? Super simple. It actually gives you a little plus button, click it, done. Connect your 2026 finances with it, for example, or your key players HQ home to it, and it'll tell me everything about my business that is in there. Okay, so your marketing plan for the year can be in there, your budget, your whatever could be in that one folder, and it'll speak to it. You can have it do tasks as well. I'll give you a really easy example. In these projects, when you connect folders, okay, and you give it instructions, it is now instructed on how to use the folder. If you add connectors, which we will go through, the connectors will do the actioning. Okay, so I'm giving it my finance folder. Okay, I'm giving it instructions on how to use it. And then when I connect my QuickBooks, it can now do things for me inside of QuickBooks or take the info from QuickBooks and do it somewhere else. Example, I use Slack as my communication tool. In one folder, I have, hey, every Monday morning at 7 a.m., can you please give me an overview of last week's revenue? It will go into, as per QuickBooks, right? So it'll go into QuickBooks, it'll pull the information, it'll come through this agent, and it'll push it to my Slack. It's pretty cool. This is what you get confused with if you're not a tech-savvy person. I wasn't. I actually, before I did this, I had no idea what a Markdown file really was. Markdown is a plain text note. It's very simple. It's like an unpretty version of a Word doc, if you will. Okay? Actually, it says it right here. Like a Word document without all the menus, right? Uses simple symbols for formatting, like hashtags for a heading. AI reads it really well. You open it in Notepad, TextEdit, or any other editor, really. MD stands for Markdown, invented in 2004, so it's actually not that old. So people can write formatted text without needing Microsoft Word. So Claude loves them because they're clean, they're fast, and they're structured. Here's kind of what it looks like. I'm sure you've seen it before. They're pretty ugly, truthfully. I love the pretty PDF versions. This is not my style, but it definitely does work, and it's better for creating in Claude. A lot of the time, you're never going to read this yourself, right? You're going to be giving it to Claude to do, so it does work significantly better. Okay, just by the way, MD files are like .md files are how you actually teach Claude. So you just drop a brand voice MD in your project, you drop a pricing MD, you drop the client MD, Markdown if the client is, you drop an SOP for it, so Claude follows your processes. All of these are like giving it instructions and how it actually works. Okay, one Markdown file, well written, is a smarter Claude literally forever. It'll never forget that unless you update it, which by the way, you can do. Okay, so every time something happens, you can also update your Markdown file and just say, hey, I know I'm working on this file about pricing. I've actually updated my pricing on the website. Can you please update my pricing MD file on my Markdown file? And it will do it so accordingly. So now when you're asking for information or creating sales pitch decks or whatever you need to create, it'll now reference the updated version of your Markdown file. Okay. This is the one that everyone talks about. What are skills? How is Claude so effective? What does it even mean? Skills are the single biggest upgrade that you can give Claude. I want to say that one more time. Skills are the single biggest upgrade that you can give Claude. Think of them as a packaged playbook. Claude pulls out automatically when you ask it to do anything. So I'll give you an example. I'm trying to find an example. Presentations. This right here, this whole presentation, how beautiful this presentation is, you can see it. This was built by a skill. I asked my Claude Code, I said, can you please make a presentation? I'm going to be teaching people in my community how to use Claude, a very basic version of how to do it. Break this down, make it simple, make anybody be able to use this and understand it because it's going to be the basic version. Okay, I want you to use your front-end design skill, which that's in the community, as you guys can see. You go look at the skills, and you can see that we have a whole drop down of skills you guys can go get for free. What that means is the skill that we are using is basically a recurring set of instructions that'll happen. It'll do it like a specific way. And it can also include like MCP servers, which is basically a line of code that speaks to another software platform, i.e. QuickBooks, like we talked about, Firecrawl, which pulls data from websites, that kind of stuff. So Claude got all these skills and then it asked me, hey Mitch, great idea. What kind of look do you want? Do you want like the Claude look where it's like a black and it's, I think called it copper, I think it said. I was like, yeah, no, I want that. Beige, cream copper. And it said, no problem, we'll do that. Asked me a series of questions and here is what we got, okay? Claude Skills is basically a playbook that Claude loads on demand. So when you ask it to do something, by the way, you can invoke skills, right, with a / and then use skill. But if you're asking it to do something, Claude is smart. It will say, okay, wait, I am going to do this for him, but let me use this skill that we've already implemented. And by the way, there are a variety of kinds of skills, we'll get to that in a second, that you can utilize to actually understand like how to do things better. Because if you get, we've all happened before on ChatGPT especially, create me a picture and it creates this crappy little picture. Claude won't create you a crappy picture, it just won't be as specific as you want, right? And you can get now hyper specific, right? Give me a blue t-shirt with a zigzag stripe on it and make me wear black glasses and a backwards green hat. Like, it will get very specific as to what it's going to do. That could be from a design skill, right? There are thousands of different skills. Okay, a skill is like a tiny folder of instructions that teaches Claude how to do one specific thing very well. Branded PowerPoints, invoice drafting, LinkedIn posts, etc. Claude automatically picks your skill when you, like I just mentioned, when your request matches. Okay, awesome. Claude ships with built-in skills. So Claude does have built-in skills like Excel and spreadsheets, Word documents, PowerPoint, PDFs, code execution, and file creation. It'll do that anyways. That's just kind of the built-in version of what it is. You don't really need to know that. It'll just do. Here's how to install a skill. Very, very, very simply. I'm gonna say this. We have skills here, so start with my skills that I've given you guys. Download them, zip file, etc. Or go over to GitHub or skills.sh, which we have linked here as well in the community. Go to settings inside of your Claude. Go to capabilities, toggle on code execution and file creation. Customize skills, create skill, and then use it. So use your skill, okay? That's installing a skill. Skills you should build or install are as follows. Invoice generation, if you already need that or don't have that, etc., you will need that because you want to make some money. Okay. Proposal writer, LinkedIn posts. LinkedIn, if you guys are a B2B company specifically, there's like 1 billion people now on LinkedIn. I highly recommend getting on LinkedIn and building a brand on there. Client onboarding packets as well, huge. We use that ourselves. I actually built a specific skill for my client onboarding packets and then built a software on Claude Code to take and use that skill. So my team can now, it's crazy, okay? The Claude Code built the platform. Claude's skill was how it knows what to do. The skill attached to the platform, and the platform now spits out onboarding packets for all of our clients, which I'm sure you may have gotten as well from our team if you're currently with us getting a VA. Okay, weekly reports, obviously huge, and then resume screener for us. We upload, 50 resumes, get ranked, shortlisted, and then you get your VA. We built a whole platform around this. I don't know if you watched the video yet, but I will make a video on KeyMatch, which is our AI matchmaking software, which is a proprietary solution that we have created to get you and all of our clients with the right virtual assistant, not just any virtual assistant, okay? Door 3 is Claude Code. So yes, even if you're not a developer, especially if you're not a developer, okay? That is massive. If you are a developer, you probably wouldn't have made it this far through this video. It's a very basic level. Claude Code is how non-technical, like human beings like us, build software. Like how I build software, and I'm definitely not a developer. I was in law enforcement for 3 years. I am not a developer. By any stretch, I have a developer on my team. He's great. He's way smarter than me. Way smarter than me, and he knows how to use this perfectly as well. And when I realized that my CTO is using Claude to develop projects, I'm like, wait a minute, maybe I'm onto something. So now we do this in tandem. I build it, he makes it better, right? So that's kind of what we do here. Claude Code is an AI builder, right? Claude Code reads entire databases, writes files, runs commands, tests, and ships working software. You basically just describe it in English. Hey, I want to create an invoice generation software. Hey, I want to create a recruiting software. You get the point. Claude will build it. Runs in your terminal, VS Code, JetBrains, desktop app, or the web. If you're just starting this, please just use the desktop app. It's very simple. You might have heard me use the term called anti-gravity. Google anti-gravity is where I personally code Google anti-gravity. You install an extension called VS Code, right? And what happens is Claude Code, VS Code inside of anti-gravity as an extension. You can actually utilize Claude Code inside of anti-gravity. Now there's no really reason to do that. You can do that inside of the actual desktop app, not on your browser, okay? It has to be the desktop app, I believe. Okay, here's the command. Take a screenshot, put it into Claude, or you guys can have this presentation afterwards. It's all yours, okay? Put this in your terminal and it will create. Now this might look like gibberish. It might be incredibly confusing and complex. I promise you it's not. It's one, you copy it, you paste it into your terminal, you hit enter, and it pretty much pops up. It's very, very simple, okay? By terminal, I mean, if you're on Mac, command space, type in terminal, it's the little code box that comes up. It's like, what the heck is that? That's how you get Claude Code, okay? Here's what an SME owner can build solo, so yourself, okay? Landing pages for a new offer. You never have to pay anybody else again. So you and the VA that you hire can do this as well. Remember, like, this is whole part of the program, guys. If you're here and you're watching this is more about for you to know and you kind of utilize and play around with, but this is also for your VA. Your VA should be watching this, understanding what the basics of Claude are, how they can use it properly, what they can do, things that they can do to make your life easier and make their job easier, right? Make you both more effective, right? Building internal dashboards, for example, connect to Stripe or Google Sheets, right? Supabase, which is a database in the back end to collect information. For example, you guys, if you're on any of our software like KeyBrain or KeyCommand, which are our two in-house softwares, you are now inside of our Supabase dashboard, which allows us to say, okay, John now has access to Supabase. He's now a client or a user inside of our Supabase. It shows all of our users, right? That's how we collect data. Okay, it's not like a little bit similar, but it's not. It's a database specifically. You still will need a CRM to move all of that information into through a Claude built automation, right? So you want to be able to have them in a database, but you also want to be able to remarket to them. So if you use my software and you're in my community, you guys likely get emails from me because I've moved you into my email platform to tell you what we got going on, right? Watch our new YouTube video. Here's a new offer, that kind of stuff too. That's just how business works, right? And I highly, highly recommend that. Data cleaning scripts. Okay, dedupe my 10,000 CRM rows, which I've used several times. I've run several ads through a variety of companies. We have a lot of people, thousands of people in our software. I want to make sure that I'm deduping it because a lot of you guys come in and you use same emails, different name or phone number, etc. What it does is it dedupes. So I'm not sending it to you guys, 45 times, or wasting my credits on email. Because by the way, it does cost you money to send emails, text, that kind of stuff too, through majority of your CRMs, right? Not very expensive, but if it's got thousands of more people in there than you need, then yeah, it'll be pretty expensive. Okay, so building custom AI agents, obviously one of the big ones as well. The big thing is Chrome extensions. So one-off tools for your workflow. So prototype like a Chrome extension in minutes, which is kind of cool. You can build your own Chrome extension. So if you use, like we use Tela a lot, which I'm currently using to film this, Loom, Obsidian web clippings, just to name a few, right? That's really, really important. Or full client portals. You guys are likely in our client portal if you have a VA with us that was all built using Claude Code, okay? Teach code your rules. Okay, so in Claude Code, a special file called claude.md, which you'll hear about 1 million times, sits in your project folder. Claude reads it at the start of every session. It's your permanent onboarding document for your AI teammate, meaning Claude is your teammate, and the claude.md file, like we just mentioned, is the file that your Claude will read to understand who you are, what you do, and how to act. Okay, 3 doors, 2 minutes of rules. Never open the wrong one again. Okay, ask yourself one question. Do I want an answer, a finished deliverable, or a working software? This is where you figure out if you want to call it chat, co-work, or code. Here is your first week in your 7-day plan. Okay, number 1, sign up for Claude, right? Use chat for like 3 real tasks, cold email summary, brainstorm, etc. Create your first project. I think I told you guys at the beginning of this, project's going to be where you live. You will love your life. I promise to God. Please create a project for everything you do. It makes it so much easier to live. I've got YouTube, LinkedIn, general company one. I have an agents one as well for all my Claude agents, etc. In my brand, right? Claude now has the creative version of it, so you can now create like creative projects, which is really, really cool. Okay, so write a brand voice, so how you want Claude to talk to you, right? Drop it in your project. Every time the response will get better, right? We are a green and a black brand, right? Here's our font, here's our logo, we have a chest piece. All this kind of stuff is like our vibe. So now when it's creating things for me, it knows how to create these things, so it looks on brand with me, all right? Okay. That's right, get the desktop app first. That's first. Get the desktop app. It's the biggest one that you can use. It'll take a little bit of space in your computer, but I promise you it is much, much more worth it because you can do more things, right? You can't do a lot of the things on your browser than you can do on the actual desktop. Okay, enable skills. So ask Claude to build you a branded PowerPoint or Excel just to see how skills work. Then go on over and go to skills.sh, skills.sh, and look for a variety of skills. You'll see a lot of the people on there that have given you free skills to use. You literally, skills.sh, on the right hand side I believe there will be a GitHub repo link. Click on the GitHub repo link, go to download it. Before you download it, it'll actually say copy GitHub URL link. You just go to Claude Code, paste it into Claude Code and say, hey, please install this skill globally. Now, I will say, if you're going to download a skill and you're going to put it inside of your Claude Co-work, which a lot of you will, you will need to download the zip file from skills.sh or from GitHub or whatever you're doing, likely from GitHub. They are interconnected. So when you go to GitHub and you download it, please download the zip file and then unzip it. You have to put the MD files, the Markdown files, inside as an upload to your Claude Co-work. Okay. All right. Install Claude Code. So ask it to build a simple landing page, right? Just kind of get a gist of it, right? Hey, I own a beauty company. Please make me a landing page. What it'll do is it'll use your brand voice. It'll use your MD file. It'll know a little bit about you, and you can get more specific, right? Please use this font. Please create it like this. Please install Firecrawl and look at, and then insert 2 competitors to see what they're doing. I want to make sure that my offer is better than theirs, right? Stuff like that you can actually do. So it's pretty cool. And then review it, identify your biggest time sink, hand it to Co-work next Monday, and you are good to go. Okay? Here's 5 mistakes that I see every single week, and I want you guys to avoid them. Treating chat like Co-work, please don't do that. Chat will not work like Co-work. It'll waste your time, okay? Not using projects will literally kill your time. It's the worst thing you can do in Claude, okay? Skipping the brand voice, people say, well, it'll just learn. It doesn't. It will just learn, but not as well as you telling it specifically. If you get hyper-specific and say, here's my brand, here's what we look like, here's how we are, here's how we talk, it'll know exactly how to give you guys the information or the outcome. And then over-prompting. So stop engineering the prompts, describe the outcome. Claude will fill in the rest, but you want to get pretty specific. So this one's like a wishy-washy one. Don't over-prompt, but don't under-prompt. It is a little bit of a gray area. If you're sending a big prompt that's 40,000 characters long, you might be a little bit over-prompting. But if you're just saying, hey, build me a landing page, Claude's going to be like, okay, for what? Right? This is if you're used to ChatGPT, it'll just give you like a landing page, give you whatever you want. It won't ask questions. Claude is designed to ask you questions. So you can rely on Claude to say, okay, great, I will build you a landing page, but like, what's it for? What's it on? How many sections do you want? Like, what's the goal of it? Like, it'll ask you these questions to kind of hone in that response as well. Okay, and don't stay on free. I'm not even talking about this. Don't stay on free. It's not worth it. Okay, here's where you can learn more. Go to claude.com. Any of these links right here. I want to say thank you guys so much for watching the video. I hope this helped a little bit understand what Claude is, Claude 101. And here is a little overview of what Claude will look like. Right here, it'll say create a landing page. Literally like that. I'm showing you guys this. This is obviously not on Claude Code. This is inside of my Google Anti-Gravity, inside of Claude Code. Okay, that's enough. Thank you guys so much for coming. I appreciate you coming to my TED Talk. I'm looking forward to the next video. Cheers.